Good morning, everybody, and a happy Wednesday morning to you. All right, we have a little bit of royal news, but once again, this is mostly Harry Meghan stuff. Some of the articles from years ago are coming back up. You know me, I got to touch on them. So let's just get in there and cover it, shall we? Let's go. I am starting off. I got an email from somebody in Western Australia who said she was a police motorcycle officer, and she sent me a picture taken in October 2013 when they were in a motorcade for Harry. She's like, never again. Love the picture. Thank you so much for reaching out. All right, let's jump into the royals. I love this. We know that William has his Homewards initiative, and one of the 6 areas is Aberdeen. Well, 2 Aberdeen-based organizations called Glencraft and Somebody Cares have decided to join the Royal Foundation and the Homewards program. Glencraft is going to be contributing handcrafted mattresses. They've been in business over 180 years, and Somebody Cares is a very active charity, and they furnish homes, about 800 homes a year. I think that's wonderful. Let's move on. Princess Catherine, this warmed my heart to see it. She joined Chief Scout Dwayne Fields, as well as some scouts from Manchester and some other areas, for a trip to the Lake District, where she talked about opening up and finding peace in a very busy world. She said it's a spiritual and emotional connection with nature that brings her peace. This new video was just put out yesterday. Now, for those of you who don't know, she is a joint president of the Scouts, and it shows her on a scout trip. Remember, Catherine is in remission from cancer, but she's very long advocated the benefits of spending time in the natural world, saying it became her family's sanctuary in the wake of her diagnosis and her chemo treatments. She continued on saying, and I firmly believe with what she said here. She said, I think it's really important for young people to have access to nature because it's a space where they can push themselves, they can challenge themselves, they can learn leadership skills, they can spend time making friends, and those lifelong, really great memories that you hold on to. And I think if we can do that, if you can build up a generation that's passionate about our natural space and passionate about protecting it as well. Absolutely, I completely agree. But just FYI, in case you're unaware, she's been joint president of the Scouts since 2020. Love it. I just want to say I'm so happy to see Catherine on the front page again, looking absolutely gorgeous. She just glows. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing. Let's move on. Now, this just rolls right into this story because obviously the Middletons are very outdoorsy people. And what's being said is that Harry couldn't understand William's obsession with the Middletons and their countryside lives. And Harry was upset when he felt left behind because William started spending more time with Catherine and her family, especially after he got married and had children. Harry felt left out and cast out. I don't know what Harry was expecting. He's going to marry Catherine and still spend every waking minute with Harry, but I think that's what he thought. They were still incredibly close. They lived next door to each other at Kensington Palace. They shared the same office. They were hanging out a lot. You know, this whole against the world bond with William, but then Harry felt displaced when William married Catherine, and he said he couldn't understand William's obsession, and he said that the Bucklebury world was boring and the Waleses had been a tight union and William was full on Windsor country bumpkin. He said on weekends he wasn't Chez Middleton, he was tramping the grounds of Amer Hall, and you know that's the house that was given to William and Catherine as a wedding gift, and wearing a cap and a tweed jacket like his turn-up toff Norfolk farmer friends. That's what Harry said. Can you imagine? Unbelievable. What a horrible thing to say. I have to be honest. I think that's been one of Harry's biggest problems all along. I think he's jealous of Catherine. Catherine, took his role. Now she was with William. He was pushed to the side. He was jealous. Here's a perfect example. The Obamas came to visit. So Catherine's speaking to Mrs. Obama, William's speaking to the president, and Harry's just sitting there. I think this has been Harry's issue all along. He wanted it to be him and William against the world forever. Right. All right, this next story just doesn't surprise me. It's being reported that Meghan Markle sent a sample box of her products to Clarence House with a note. The idea is that this is going to soften things between Meghan Markle and King Charles. You know, I told you guys yesterday that there's some talk about removing their titles. And so all of a sudden, Meghan's wanting to build bridges with the royal family. And what they're saying is she may not feel respected, but these are the tiny gestures that are her way of showing compassion for what the king is going through and helping to rebuild bridges between William and Harry and the king. Sorry, I don't think a box of jelly is going to undo the damage that you did. And her recent behavior isn't helping her either, because she's not supposed to use Your Royal Highness. Her HRH and Harry's HRH, King and Queen decided to be magnanimous and not strip it from them. They're put into abeyance. They are not allowed to use them. Okay, she didn't use them, but what she did was just as bad. Mark Dolan, who's online, said everything that I would want to say, but he ranted for 10 minutes, but I cut it down for you, so listen to this.
The Duchess of Sussex has enraged Buckingham Palace by using her Your Royal Highness title because she's got no respect for the institution. In fact, she hates it. So what's happened is that she's been on her Instagram, which I think we can all agree is just a platform for her outrageous ego. And she has shared a letter from Ukraine's vice president addressed to Your Royal Highness, thanking Meghan and her family for their support of Ukraine. Okay, now let's be clear about this. Meghan and Prince Harry, but as part of their 2020 exit deal, okay, the Sussexes agreed not to use the title HRH in any official or commercial capacity. It's humiliating for Prince Harry in particular. I'm sure that somewhere deep inside there is still a grudging respect for the institution. And this is not the first time that Meghan has ignored the rules, disposed with protocol, and just been obnoxiously rude. Don't forget that Netflix documentary, the awful sham of a documentary, in which she did a fake curtsy to the Queen. She was explaining to the interviewer, with Harry sat next to her, that when she met the Queen, she had to do a fake curtsy, and she kind of like really overacted how awkward it was. And you could just see Harry's crushing embarrassment at that point. But not just that, of course. It was very rude to Queen Elizabeth, one of the greatest Britons of history. She's up there with Queen Victoria, Winston Churchill, Shakespeare, Paul McCartney, take your pick. Now, clearly, it was this vice president of Ukraine who wrote the letter, and it started Your Royal Highness. Fine. So they've made a mistake. They're quite busy fighting a war, so I will forgive the leadership of the Ukrainian government. What I won't forgive is Meghan putting it on her Instagram. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows it's not allowed. And the damage that this woman is willing to wreak on the royal family is unending. She's not caused enough damage. She's now mocking them. She's trolling them publicly online by posting this letter. And it's really awkward for Harry. She's put Harry in an awkward position. And let me tell you that if she keeps being so damaging and so cruel to the royal family and the institution, I think that in terms of Harry, I think he's going to do a flip. And he's like, I've had enough of this, actually. There is that respect for the institution and there is that love for the family. Now, Meghan's post was likely deliberate, well, I agree with that, describing it as quite a clever way of testing the water. And you know, it's such a breach of contract. Look, the bottom line is, when they left, parting on, in inverted commas, good terms, so it was an unspoken agreement, you won't use those titles, but we won't strip you overtly. And she's just reneged on that completely because she doesn't care.
Spot on. If you're not watching this man, you should be, because what he said was exactly right. Now, we know the UK loves their polls, and of course they did a poll. Should Meghan still be allowed to use the Duchess of Sussex title? And the overwhelming response was no. As for Meghan's Instagram account, I'm so tired of seeing these stupid posts with these perfectly curated baskets, which obviously I think somebody else is putting them together, and they get a picture of her holding it. She's not doing all that, guys. They're ridiculous flowers. I agree with Mark Dolan. It's a vanity project for her. But another thing came out. She started listing Easter clothing and things that people should buy. And this is what really caught my attention and caught the attention of a lot of people on Twitter. One of the things she listed were those blue plaid pajamas. Do those look familiar? They should, because they're the pajamas that Prince George was wearing when he met the Obamas. Oh my God. All right, now I want to go back to this. It's coming out again. We know that Meghan has always been dogged by rumors of diva behavior since she married Harry. Difficult, they called her. And they followed her all the way to Hollywood. And so she's having all kinds of issues on both sides of the pond. And so let's take a look at allegations since May of 2018. To start with, she used to send messages to all the employees at 5 a.m. And eventually people started complaining, which led to Jason Knopf sending that formal complaint saying, I'm very concerned that Meghan was able to bully 2 PAs out of the household in the past year, that she always seemed intent on having someone in her sights. Then, of course, we have the whole wedding debacle where Meghan bullied Angela Kelly, or she tried to. What Meghan wants, Meghan gets, remember? And then, of course, the revolving door of staff at the palace. Nobody could seem to stay longer than a year or they transferred out. Remember, it was right before the Oprah show that we found out about the bullying allegations where Meghan was reducing staff to tears, which Harry confirmed in the Spare, and Meghan said it was a smear campaign, a calculated smear campaign. Remember, both the Queen and Princess Catherine had to pull her aside and talk to her about the rude way that she spoke to staff at the palace. Let's move forward to the United States now, where they still have a revolving door of staff. And then in September of 2024, the Hollywood Reporter came out saying that Markle regularly belittles people and is simply terrible. Then in January of 2025, Vanity Fair spoke out, revealing that employees that worked with Harry and Meghan on their Archetypes podcast took extended breaks, needed long-term therapy, or just left after working with Meghan. It does not take a genius to figure out that where there's smoke, there's fire. I think Meghan was a disappointment all the way around, but she really hurt the Queen, which is something I can't get past. Don't forget that Queen Elizabeth made Meghan vice president of the Commonwealth Trust in March of 2019. That position did not exist, but she gave it to her. And then Elizabeth was absolutely horrified because Harry and Meghan then criticized the Commonwealth. They basically criticized the Queen's life's work. Now remember, Meghan claimed her work was going to highlight the trust partnership with young people across the Commonwealth, and particular supporting women and girls. But after they left and the Netflix docuseries came out, they criticized it and called it Empire 2.0. People are saying, isn't it just fabulous and lucky that Elizabeth did not live long enough to see that, because the Commonwealth was so central to Queen Elizabeth and bringing people together. It's a voluntary organization, but in their documentary, it was dismissed as a colonial body used for Britain to extract money and resources from the rest of the world. Queen Elizabeth would have been absolutely horrified. I agree. Let's not forget they also did multiple videos from Tyler Perry's house criticizing the Commonwealth while she was alive. And finally, this article has come out before, but I just want to touch on it one more time. They're saying that Harry was so disappointed because the relatives couldn't see the similarities of Diana in Meghan. But then, of course, we know that Harry was so affected by the loss of his mother, he needed to feel safe. He needed to feel loved, which is why on the very first date that Meghan and Harry had, Meghan made a point of wearing Diana's favorite perfume. It was the olfactory. You're safe with me. I remind you of the safeness of when you were in your mother's arms. You get it? She does things Diana used to do. Diana used to hold Harry's arm behind her back. Guess who else holds Harry's arm behind his back? And don't think she didn't study this stuff ahead of time, because she did. We also know that Diana used to walk with Harry and William with her hand on their backs, guiding them. So what does Meghan do? She constantly walks around with her hand on Harry's back, guiding him. Let's not forget also, and by the way, every picture you're looking at was taken after they left the royal family, but she used to dress like Diana, and she claimed that the palace made her do it. But as I just pointed out, every outfit you're looking at was something she wore after they left the royal family, and she continues dressing like Diana to keep this going with Harry. Look, I'm just like your mom. She also adopted some of Diana's mannerisms. It was very obvious what she was doing to absolutely everybody, except, of course, Harry. Harry was easily suckered in. And don't forget, according to what we heard in the past, Meghan also tells Harry that she's in communication with Diana. Man, that man is damaged. Oh, I want your comments on this one. Make them good. Put them down. Then hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box. You'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Amazon wish list, a link to my second channel, as well as my father's book, which is still up for sale, as well as a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.